Hi friends, it's Sajid and today I'm going to be doing my summer book haul. Over the summer I accumulated quite a few books, but today I have just a few of them here that I would like to share with you. The first book I have to show you is The Martian by Andy Weir, and I got the movie cover edition because it was cheap, and so am I. It's about this astronaut guy who is left stranded on Mars after his team evacuates in the event of an emergency based on the assumption that he was dead. So this is basically his survival story on Mars and how he is able to not die. I actually read the first 6 pages of this book and I was like, I don't know, it was something about the writing that just wasn't clicking with me, but I'm hoping to pick it up again sometime soon, and maybe that would be the right time. The next book I got was We Need New Names by Violet Bulawayo. I haven't heard much people talk about this book, but all I know is that it's about a girl named Darling who is from Zimbabwe, and I believe she and her family are moving to the United States of America, and life in America turns out to be not what she envisioned. I love immigrant stories because I feel like the characters go through so much development and they deal with so much having to adjust to this new environment. And I believe this one is a middle grade book, so it would be interesting to see that from a child's perspective. The next 3 books I got are somewhat part of a trilogy, and they are Anna and the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After. And these are all by Stephanie Perkins. They are YA contemporary romances, and I can't speak for Isla as yet, but I've read the first 2, Anna and Lola, and they were fantastic. These were 5-star reads for me. They're not your basic, typical, cheesy romantic stories. In them, there's a lot of heart and a lot of character development, and you learn so much about bravery and change and dealing with just very complicated situations in life. I love them. I thought they were amazing. I would say that I slightly preferred Lola and the Boy Next Door to Anna and the French Kiss, but they were both equally fantastic. The next couple of books come courtesy of my aunt Dida, who is like one of my favorite persons on earth. She gave me some cash for Ida, and instead of saving it like some smart people would have, I just decided to splurge it on books. The first book I got with that was Wonder by R.J. Palacio. This one is a middle grade contemporary about a boy named August who is born with a facial difference. In this story, we follow him as he is starting school for the first time, which obviously is a very big and difficult transition for someone like him, and while he's there he obviously has to deal with the attention and the treatment that he's getting from other children. This was a really heartwarming and fantastic story about friendship, accepting difference, and looking beyond one's physical appearance. I love this book a lot, and if you'd like to know more, I will link my wrap-up for July down below where I talked about it. Next book I got with that cash was Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. So this one is about this boy named Simon who is gay and he's still very much in the closet. So he starts an anonymous online relationship with this boy and he's enjoying himself until some dickhead comes along and decides to blackmail him. So I'm assuming that the story is just him trying to deal with that situation. I'm excited to read this book for so many reasons. Like, I've heard nothing but fantastic things. It's obviously received recognition. Homo is in the title. I'm in. The next 4 books I got were gifts from my cousin Shaleem from Canada. Thank you very much, Shaleem. If you're watching this video, I don't even think he knows I make videos on the internet. But if you find this, then thanks. The first book he got for me was The Enchanted by Renee Denfeld. This one is a sort of magical realism book that's set in a prison. It's told from the perspective of one of the inmates, and I believe all of them are on death row. He has this sort of omnipresent narration, and he's able to tell the story of everybody in the prison. It seems like one of those stories that it's better to go in blind to. So if you've read this book, definitely let me know what you thought of it. The next book he got me was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. My buddy read this earlier this month with Julia Sapphire and we enjoyed it a whole lot. It's also a magical realism story set in the early half of the 19th century and it follows 3 generations of women. Ava Lavender is the youngest of these 3 women and she actually narrates the entire story in the same way that this guy does. And I think really the story itself is just something that encourages people to accept and embrace difference. I loved it for the most part. I did have a few problems with it here and there in the sense that I find it a bit difficult to buy into like the magical realism thing. We'll be talking more about it obviously in my August wrap-up. I'm thinking about doing a full review, but I'm not entirely sure if I want to. But if you all would like to see a full review, then I would do it, so let me know in the comments down below. The next 2 books he got me, I'm actually currently reading, the first of which is Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. Yes, I'm still reading this one, I'm only about 300 pages in now, but I'm loving the fuck out of it. This is a satirical novel, it's a comedy novel, it's kind of like a parody, and basically what you have is these teenage beauty queens who are going to a pageant and then their plane sort of crashes on an island and they're left there stranded to survive as castaways and whatnot. It sort of pokes fun at the whole pageant culture as well as corporate culture because, you know, pageants all are basically money-making things. Everything is a money-making thing. But overall, this book is just a kick in the dick to capitalism and patriarchy, and I fucking love it for that. The final book, which I'm not that far into yet, is A Tale of Highly Unusual Magic by Lisa Papadimitriou. So this book is basically about these two girls who I assume don't know about each other. Kai is visiting her aunt in Texas, and Lila is visiting her family in Pakistan. So they both somehow come across this book, and when one of them writes in one of the books, her writing shows up in the other one's book. So they're basically able to communicate through like a magical diary. Kind of like Tom Riddle's diary, except, you know, without Tom Riddle, thank God. I'm only about 2 chapters in, but I'm loving it so far. It has a very atmospheric vibe to it, and the narration is very quirky and cool. So hopefully I'll be finishing this maybe later tonight or tomorrow because it's a middle grade book and it shouldn't take me too long. So if you've read any of these books or plan to read them, definitely let me know your thoughts on them down below. Also in the comments, I would like to know what was your favorite book of this summer. Mine would have to be either Beauty Queens or Aristotle and Dante. But anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.